Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Patricia Stewart, and I will be doing another painting, and I'm going to try to do it with one pull, which means that all of my paints will be on the gel plate, designed on the gel plate in the way that I want it. Then it has to dry a bit, and then I pull it in one pull. So we'll see how that goes. So I will start with Titan Green Pale. This is it's a nice color of green. Very pale, as they say. And I'm just going to put it at the bottom and the top. It's like a thin layer that will also work with some other colors. Just put a smidgen more here. So I'm going to make sure that I get a nice coverage. Okay. Then I'm going to go with, let's see, some burnt umber, just a little something dark going on in the middle, along with some quinacridone azo gold. And I just want to give that a bit. I want to interfere a bit with the green. Then I will go into the center with a little Payne's Gray. And again, I will take my smaller brayer. I want a little of that to be there as well, in the center. Push a little up. Bounce my brayer a little bit for that nice effect that we can get here. Give it some added texture. And then I will go in with a little primary magenta, just a touch. I like the way that looks already. I'd like to give a little texture to this green that we have here, the pale green. And let's see what I have in my box. I could add a bit of texture without being overwhelming. Well, I have this comb, and maybe if I use this long and rest it a little bit where we get these lines. It's not a comb that I use, so we can get some markings here just at the bottom. Okay, that kind of works. And that has to dry a bit, and then I can pull the print. Okay, so it dried, and I put a little bit of my matte medium on top. It pulled a little red in certain places. Not what I wanted, but I'm using matte medium to take this pull. And I didn't want to use a different color paint behind it because I didn't want to pull up any other color besides what we already had on the plate. I just wanted those colors. And so we'll see if the matte medium does well at lifting what I have on this plate. I usually use another paint color to pull, but we'll see if the matte medium will lift this clean off the plate just as I want it. Took about 10 or 12 minutes for it to dry, especially in the middle where I had the layers of different color paints. I want to make sure that this really comes up for me. Okay, here it goes. Okay, so which side do I have now? Okay, this is the right side. So this is what it pulled up for me. And it's very interesting. But the matte medium, a thin coat, did pull it up. I have a little blotch there, but it did pull up these colors for me. I wanted it to be a little darker coming down there, but sometimes you just have to go with what you get. So with this, I thought that I would use, I have here 2 strips from 2 different gel prints that I've pulled in the past, and I took my hole puncher and punched holes. And the idea is to have one piece here and another piece here, or something more like this. I did not want them to overlap. But what I will do is cut where I can open up the bottom so that I can have that design effect where you just have like that comb effect there. That's what I wanted for here. I'll do the same with the other strip. where I wanted that. Actually, I'll put it this way. That piece to go there. And so I will attach those pieces and see what else we can add. So I decided to cut out some pieces of other prints that I've pulled in the past and put holes in it with my hole puncher and cut through the holes. Place them here, give it a bit of design, so to speak, and texture effect. And I did the same with this green that goes down the center there. And it's still telling me that it needs something else, maybe there to break up some of the dark color. And also when I pulled it, I did not see all the colors on my plate that was originally there, and it pulled up other shades of green and blues and other things, which adds for texture even around here. The sides it added for some nice texture. I wasn't going for this to be as wide in the center. I was hoping that it would be very narrow as to how I placed it, but when I pulled it up, it seemed to have spread and gotten wider. So I'm going to go with that, but I think I need a little bit of something lighter to cut down on the brown that I have in the center. So let's glue these on and see what we have. Okay, so I was able to add a couple of more pieces. It needed something in this area with a little punch of color. Again, I took my hole puncher and punched holes to keep it consistent with what I had already done. When I laid this piece in the center, I just kept the holes whole. And then after I laid that piece, as you can see here, it just seemed like I needed to lay another of the same color up at the top. And I punched holes in that as well and just left the holes whole. And the piece is actually telling me to do something else with it as well. So I was thinking of taking my Posca pen and just adding some dots in the center here. I was still trying to break up a little bit of the darker color there. Originally I had planned for this to just be more narrow and not as wide with color. And also it's telling me to use my Micron pen, sort of get a fine line going here. Which I will try to do. That's a fine line that comes up. Sometimes these little accents make a difference. Just adding a fine line here and there. Let's see if I can add another here. And one here. Sometimes it's not more paint that you need. Sometimes it's just a matter of an accent of a line, not necessarily more paint or more paper to be pasted to sort of bring out the design. And so that's what this has turned out to be. And let's see, when I add the matting to it, let's see what we get now with the matting. Attached to it. And the view that we get now of it is something quite appealing. And to me, the more I worked on it, and I'm looking at it now, it almost gives me the impression of a sort of like a funky seascape, not seascape, but a funky painting of a river view from the river. And that's something that comes to me, or a view across the ocean of some sort. But this is what we have, and again, you can be creative with a hole puncher and punch holes and keep that consistent throughout, whether you cut the holes and give them openings, which creates a different textural piece, or you leave the holes open as I did here. But it certainly adds something different to the pieces that you're cutting, so you would have to experiment with that. Also, from the very beginning, the one pull of it took less than 10 minutes to apply those paints and to do the design in the center using your roller, or you could use a paintbrush. I used maybe 3 different size brayers, a 1.5, a 2.5, and a 4-inch brayer. However, you can simply do the same thing with a paintbrush if you don't have a smaller brayer, or use your larger brayer and just take a baby wipe or tissue and just more define the area, clean off the excess paint. But that was all done with one pull, and you got the different layers with just the one pull. And so it's something worth experimenting with and play around with it in different ways to be creative and still end up with a painterly painting. Again, these make great gifts, or you can just frame them, mat them, frame them, and decorate your wall with your works of art. Thanks for stopping by today.